Special Counsel Jack Smith just filed a superseding indictment in the federal election interference case against former President Donald Trump.
Phil, it's not uncommon for a prosecutor to do this. It's actually a smart move with the trouble that he's having with the now former, but as of an hour ago, current indictment. He now supersedes, he streamlines, and he tries to take that indictment further. I mean, it really is a smart move on Jack Smith's part. Whether it'll survive is unclear right now, but it is a slick move.
Special Counsel Jack Smith is a constant reminder to Donald Trump that he can run and hide behind the Supreme Court, but it's going to take more to shed responsibility for attempting to subvert the election. He's back with superseding indictments now.
Here's what's going to happen from here. As Bill said, what we have here now is a superseding indictment. So it replaces the original indictment. The original indictment was about 45 pages. This new one is about 36 pages. And what DOJ has done is take out those items that the Supreme Court specified are now clearly covered by the immunity ruling. Most obviously, the allegations that were in the original indictment relating to Trump's effort to pressure DOJ, those are gone. Those are essentially deleted out of the new indictment. The allegations relating to Mike Pence remain in the new indictment. They're changed a little bit. As Caitlin said before, they're sort of more focused on his role as president of the Senate than his role as vice president. But here's what's going to happen next. They're going to go into court within the next few weeks. Donald Trump's team is going to say, great, they got rid of the DOJ stuff. We agree with that. But we also think everything that's still in the indictment should be immune as well. Judge Chutkan will make a decision. If Donald Trump loses that, he'll appeal to the Court of Appeals. And then if he loses that, he'll try to get it back to the Supreme Court.
It's a slimmed-down version of the case that loyal Trump justices on the Supreme Court ruled shouldn't apply to their guy. Smith's latest indictment very specifically works around the aspects that the court didn't want Trump to face consequences over.
You know, the superseding indictment, this second attempt to charge Donald Trump with election conspiracy, is 9 pages shorter. A few things are missing. It doesn't have references anymore to allegations he used the Justice Department to push false election claims and to interfere with the election. The Justice Department component is gone after the Supreme Court ruling. There are other little nips and tucks. If you look closely, you'll find them. They now reference January 6th. And some of the things Trump said on January 6th, they now refer to it as a campaign event on January 6th. They didn't previously. They're trying to work around, potentially, this Supreme Court ruling on official acts. Now they're characterizing January 6th as campaign, not official, and they're eliminating the parts that may involve Jeffrey Clark and the Justice Department, if you recall your January 6th history.
That's what's been moved around, but it hasn't taken the bite out of the severity of those charges.
A few bottom lines are the same. Still facing 4 felony charges. Still charged in the District of Columbia with an attempt to overturn the 2020 election. Still has to face these charges again. So there's going to be an arraignment at some point in the coming days. Our expectation, based on what Jack Smith, the special counsel's filed today, is that they will not insist on Trump attending in person. Sometimes you don't go to your rearraignment if you're being charged in a superseding indictment, certainly not if you're high profile. So this will happen in due course. And this case is back on track in the courtroom of Judge Tanya Chutkan, the initial judge assigned to it.
So with the Trump campaign deciding to hit multiple states on a daily basis while also preparing for the upcoming debate, you'd think he must not have any time to really respond. But you think wrong, because he retruthed multiple posts to really drive the point home that he's a fascist. Jack Smith is a career criminal, a political weapon against America. He should be prosecuted for election interference and prosecutorial misconduct. There was enough evidence to throw them all in jail for perjury. They lied under oath about President Trump, then they destroyed all evidence almost simultaneously to the Trump indictment. And on and on and on. To finish with, these are the criminals of our country, the real threat to our democracy. You ever notice how in Trump's mind, the threats against democracy in America only come up when he's threatened by consequences, and not when the people are? He wasn't done promoting fascism, though. Here's more. Indict the unselect J6 committee. Sedition. Retruth if you want to lock them up. All roads lead to Obama. Retruth if you want public military tribunals. Now, why and how do all roads lead back to Obama? I mean, who gives a damn? He told a small penis joke to the DNC about Trump, and everyone laughed over and over. So the volatile old man wants military tribunals over it. Definitely not the way to convince anyone that Obama was wrong. He and his supporters, though, have blatantly proven to the rest of the country on countless occasions that MAGA fascism is what they want. Former Trump official Miles Taylor has some stories.
It's about 7 steps from the couch in the Oval Office to the outer Oval, where the president's staff assistants sit. So about 7 steps out of the Oval Office, you would say, what the just happened? And in fact, in that little room, you would have conversations with people who would come out of the meeting and say, well, the president just told me to do X, Y, or Z. It might be a crazy, thing, go build a theme park inside the Department of Interior. And you would say, no, shh, listen, don't go do that. Okay, we're going to get this back in the box. Just give it a couple of days, right? And the White House chief of staff or someone else would say, I'll go back to the president. No, we're not going to build a theme park inside the atrium of the Department of Interior, which, goofy example, not totally beyond the realm of things we would be told to do. Although usually they would be sicker, more destructive and terrifying. Like, Why don't you guys gas, electrify, and shoot innocent migrant women and children at the border? Okay, that's not going to happen.
There have been multiple stories from former Trump staffers, advisors, and officials that speak to that same reality. Someone has to be the one to say, no, let's not maim and kill innocent people. So his reposts of promises to punish his enemies aren't just fun and games.
But the scary thing is you get people who go into a meeting with the president who haven't been in the meeting with him, and they get an order, and they leave, and they think, if I don't follow an order from the president of the United States, am I violating the law? Is my job at stake? And so you had to have people, that were really the guardrails to say, look, don't listen to that. We're going to have to go back and revisit that decision. And those conversations would happen seconds after you left the Oval Office. And we're truly chilling. And then, of course, we all know as the guardrails came off, that stopped happening. And the Oval Office became an echo chamber, and more bad things came out into the world because people were unwilling to say no.
The number of people that were unwilling to say no was the result of what MAGA called draining the swamp, which was actually filling it with yes men willing to do the bidding of a president that hates this country.
CNN has obtained an exclusive excerpt detailing how on the day of June 1st, 2020, as protests over the murder of George Floyd erupted across the country, and as Trump watched police grow violent with the mostly peaceful protesters, he told his top law and military officials, quote, "That's how you're supposed to handle these people, crack their skulls." Trump then telling his team that he wanted the military to go in and, quote, beat the F out of the protesters, quote, "just shoot them." And when he got pushback, Trump said, quote, "well, shoot them in the leg or maybe the foot, but be hard on them," unquote.
And that was in response to police officers slowly murdering a man in the street on camera. To the guy that wants Congress people and DOJ prosecutors arrested for upholding the law, that's how he wanted to use our military. And this is how he'd use incarceration.
In this country, they leak all over the place, even on the Supreme Court. By the way, you have to find the leaker of the Supreme Court. You have to find the leaker. You know how you find the leaker? They'll say, oh, this is treasonous, what I said. So they can't find the leaker. He leaked all about Roe v. Wade. Look, this person leaked from the Supreme Court, never happened. You know how you find? But they don't want to mention this because they think it's so terrible. You take the writer, because you're never going to find it. They're going through phone records. It's been a long time. You take the writer and or the publisher of the paper, a certain paper that and you say, who is the leaker? National Security. And they say, we're not going to tell you. They say, it's okay, you're going to jail. And when this person realizes that he is going to be the bride of another prisoner very shortly, he will say, I'd very much like to tell you exactly who that leaker. It was Bill Jones. I swear he's a leaker. And we got him. But they don't want to do that.
Yeah, sure. Let's use the threat of prison rape and violence to force reporters to give up their sources so that he doesn't have to answer over being responsible for women's reproductive health care being taken away. And the MAGA crowd laughs and applauds. That is, as long as they're willing to give up their rights without question or any pushback. We really don't need Trump opponents to call out his authoritarianism because he reminds us by himself on a daily basis.
I know communism. I fled communism from Nicaragua when I was 8 years old. I don't take it lightly. And let me tell you what communist dictators do. And it's never just for one day. They attack the free press. They call them the enemy of the people, like Ortega does in Nicaragua. They put their unqualified relatives in cushy government jobs so they can get rich of their positions. like the Castros do in Cuba. And they refuse to accept legitimate elections when they lose and call for violence to stay in power, like Maduro is doing right now in Venezuela. Now, you tell me something. Do any of those things sound familiar